The 5700 pannier tanks are some of the most numerous class of engines designed and built by the Great Western Railway. More than 860 of these things were constructed between 1929 and 1950, 250 of which were built by outside contractors. So essentially, if you got on the wrong side of these things, they would gang up on you and show up at your front door at 2 a.m. in the morning, and you'd be in a lot of trouble. The council will be deciding your fate today. However, out of all of them, and the ones that are left, which there are 16 of, I feel like one gets not a lot of attention, and that is GWR Pannier Tank 7714. 7714 was part of Lot 263, the batch from 7700 to 7724, which were built in 1930 under contract by Kerr Stewart. They were built with vacuum brakes and steam heating, and fitted with riveted tanks and polished brass safety covers. The visible rivets on the water tanks are a sign of its non-Swindon origin. The batch was one of several partly funded by interest-free government loans intended to relieve unemployment during the Great Depression. 7714 was reportedly built at a cost for £3,160 as Kerr Stewart Works number 4449, and it entered service at Tyseley in April of the same year. It was one of the last locomotives produced by the manufacturer, which was wound up later that year. The GWR's ATC system was added a few years later after delivery. Apart from a brief transfer to Leamington in late 1931, it remained at Tyseley until moving to Birkenhead in November 1937. It then remained at Birkenhead, apart from a month at Oxley Wolverhampton in spring 1947, until December 1958, when a final move to, I will butcher this up, Wrexham Crossnewed took place. It was withdrawn by BR in January 1959, having run an estimated 520,000 miles in service. 7714 was sold to the National Coal Board for use at their Penetalia colliery near Rhymney, South Wales. Moving the following July, initially used daily, the long wheelbase proved unsuitable for the tight curves in the track, so it was mostly acted as a spare engine. Representatives of the SVRA Kidderminster branch's Pannier Tank Fund inspected 7714 and chose it in preference to sister locomotive 7754, which was then at Mount Ash and at Mardy. The fund tendered £1,750 and completed the purchase on the 3rd of January 1973. It was delivered by road to Bridgnorth on the 29th of March. As with other EX National Coal Board locomotives, it was in a very worn condition, with all wheels sporting dangerous double flanges. After the boiler was lifted from the frames at Bridgnorth Loco Works, both were transported to Bewdley Downyard in a number of wagons in late 1974. A lengthy restoration then followed, although little work took place until 1977, while the fund concentrated its efforts on paying off loans. In 1979, a SVRA raffle was held to raise funds for the restoration. In spring 1985, another SVRA raffle was held to raise funds for the contract work on the motion and the boiler. A total of 5,600 net was raised in this raffle, and again in spring 1989, the Final Frontier raffle, organised yet again by the SVRA, was held to raise more money for the boiler. The locomotive was first steamed in July 1992. It was outshopped in BR black livery, and after wintering in Kidderminster Carriage Works, it emerged on the first weekend as the only steam locomotive working on a shortened railway due to engineering works taking place at the north end of the line. Unfortunately, on its first trip, it ran a hot coupling rod brush. The offending items were taken to Bridgnorth by road to be remetalled. After this, it saw regular use on winter services and also saw service at the South Devon Railway in 1995 and the East Somerset Railway in 1996. In mid-1999, the locomotive was repainted into GWR livery. Shortly afterwards, it suffered an issue with the driving stub axle, which works loose. This was sent away for repairs at the British Steel Workshops near Redcar. The repair was successful, with the axle reinstalled by the winter. Around this time, the boiler also received an overhaul at the Crew Heritage Centre, with a return to service in the summer of 2000. In spring of 2006, another SVRA raffle, there's a trend with this, was held to help raise funds for a new crank axle. Further movement of the crank since the earlier repair having led to restrictions in train loadings. The raffle raised around £12,000, and after working in each of the years from 1992 to 2009, 7714 was withdrawn from service in August 2009 with boiler issues. The locomotive then spent a long period on display at the engine house before being moved to Bridgnorth in April 2012 for an overhaul. It was thought that the damage to the right-hand half of the cylinder casting occurred during its time in NCB ownership would put a setback on the overhaul. In 2014, a second SVRA raffle, why so many? This time called the Mr Pannier, raised around £20,000 towards the cost of the overhaul. The riveting of the boiler barrel was completed by January 2016, and with the boiler passing its out-of-frames test in August 2016, all that was needed was to put the loco back together, and the overhaul was officially signed off in November. Since 2016, it has had little to no issue. The locomotive has been a reliable performer, and the SVR have even considered it more economical than something like a Bullet Pacific. It is more than capable of hauling a 7-coach train, and that was definitely proven during the Autumn Steam Gala last year, when the locomotive went at quite a fast speed with almost little to no effort, making a tremendous noise with 7 coaches and a B1 in tow. It has visited several railways since returning to traffic, including the North Yorkshire Moors Railway, the Keilworth Valley Railway, the West Somerset Railway, and several other more. The list will go on. Now, there is no doubting it that this locomotive will continue to operate into the future. Even with 2 years left on the boiler ticket, there are no signs of that it's ever going to be withdrawn for a long period of time. Until, of course, the Severn Valley do make a statement on what their plans will be with the engine once it does withdraw. We can never know, but it's best to assume that it probably will come back into traffic. Well, that's my guess anyways. Fingers crossed, don't take that as fact. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please do let me know in the comment section below, and I shall see you all very soon.